One day after blowing a 4-run lead in the ninth inning to end up losing the game in extra innings, the Yankees hold on to their 4-run ninth inning lead to beat the Tampa Bay Rays 4-0 behind an absolutely fantastic start from Max Fried. 7 2/3, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, no runs allowed. He improves to his record to 4-0 and the Yankees' record to 5-0 in his starts this season. And well, I guess he technically didn't, but if you watch the game, he carried a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and you eventually found out that between the between the top of the 8th inning and the bottom of the 8th inning, he was awarded a no-hitter by the official scorer, who changed his no-hitter to a one-hitter between half innings there. It was a 50-50 play on a Goldschmidt error on a bad hop there with a fast runner. I mean, it might have been a hit. In normal circumstances, I think you would have not had a complaint if it was ruled a hit. You wouldn't have had a complaint if it was ruled an error. But obviously, with the no-hitter hanging in the balance, just taking that away randomly was certainly a choice. Rays get a single in their first batter of that inning anyway, so it turned out to be all for naught. But still, in the moment, it was quite frustrating just to kind of be like, hey, what's going on? Like, why would you take that away mid-game? Not only just mid-game, like years, 2 innings later. Like, it felt like years, but 2 innings later. Like, either make the call in the moment, make the call in the immediate half inning afterward. To make that call 30-plus game real life minutes into the game later really didn't make much sense to me. But they did it, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the Yankees get a victory. Everybody in the starting lineup except for Jazz Chisholm got a hit in this game. Fernando Cruz was tasked with getting the final 4 outs because of attacks to bullpen, and had some shaky moments there in the ninth, but got through. 1 1/3 innings, 1 strikeout, 3 walks. It was after walking the first 2 batters of the inning, you were all thinking what I was thinking, which was like, they're not going to frickin' blow a 4-run ninth inning lead again, are they? And their high leverage arms were not available. Tim Hill was warming in the bullpen, but he's able to get Curtis Mead to strike out and gets Danny Jansen to ground into a double play in order to win the game. Just a game that was really solid pitching, really solid, I would say somewhat solid defense. There were some solid defensive plays. I know you'll see 3 errors by the Yankees, 2 by Oswaldo Cabrera, and go like, that was not really a good, or I guess technically only 2 errors, right? Because they changed the Goldschmidt error to a hit. So, I mean, aside from Oswaldo Cabrera, who had a couple errors today, including a throw that went into the stands, trying to get a runner out first. I know Austin Wells, on a steal attempt, threw the ball in the center field. But there were some really good plays by Trent Grisham, really good plays on the infield again. Jazz Chisholm made a monster play in what was essentially short left center field to keep what we thought was a no-hitter alive. I guess technically, if you look in the box score, the no-hitter was already over by then. But was really just a really solid performance all around for the Yankees. They completely shut the Rays down in this game. Aaron Judge should have had a homer, by the way, as well. This could have been even more. I don't know about you, but I watched it replay about 4 or 5 times. That ball looks like it's fair by about 5, 6, 7 feet. Like, that wasn't close. And, if this was an MLB regular season stadium, not a spring training facility, I think it would have very clearly been called a home run. You'd been able to see where it was in the stands, whether it was upper deck or the bleachers or wherever it would have been. But obviously with that field, a shorter than usual foul pole, and then basically just hitting it into some trees there in the outfield, kind of puts it in a spot where the call could get missed. And the call was missed. Didn't cost the Yankees the game. But between that and then getting another a poor strike 3 call on Judge later in that at bat, got Aaron Boone thrown out because he's coming out. Judge turned around and say something to the umpire, and obviously you don't want Judge thrown out of the game. So Aaron Boone immediately gets out there and just takes over, gets thrown out immediately, and then says, okay, well, I'm going to get my money's worth, and I'm going to walk down the third base line and give the third base umpire a piece of my mind for missing the home run call on Judge. And so he gets thrown out of the game. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the Yankees win. They win 3 or 4 in this series. They did what they needed to do. It's disappointing. In some levels, it's disappointing that they didn't get the sweep, just given the situation where you had an 8-4 lead heading into the ninth inning in Game 3. But at the end of the day, winning 3 or 4 was the goal, and they were able to do that, and they were able to win with a lot of, outside of that game on Saturday, with a lot of solid defense and good pitching. You allowed 2 shutouts in this series, and you allowed 3 runs in the 3 wins in this series. Obviously, the ninth inning and the 10th inning on Saturday were an anomaly for you in this series, but otherwise they pitched really well, and they'll head now here on the road to face the Cleveland Guardians for a 3-game series before the merciless off day finally, I should say merciful off day from the merciless schedule finally arrives. 6:10 p.m. Eastern start time on Monday against the Guardians. Probables for this series: Clark Schmidt will go up against Gavin Williams in Game 1. Will Warren versus Tanner Bybee in Game 2. And Carlos Rodon will take the mound against Luis Ortiz for the series finale on Wednesday. And that Wednesday game is an afternoon 1:10 p.m. start time. So they'll have an early game. They'll fly out immediately afterwards and they'll be back in New York for their full off day. I would assume, because then they're going to probably head right back on the road afterwards. They're going to head back at home against the Blue Jays for 3 games, and then they go right back on the road afterwards. We're a 3-game series in Baltimore before there's another off day. So 3-game series, off day, 6 games, off day is what the next week plus looks like for the New York Yankees. And, the goal here is to, again, win this series. Can you get another strong start from Clark Schmidt? Can you get again, he was a little iffy at times, but his pitches looked pretty good for the most part. Can you get another strong start from Carlos Rodon to end the series? Will Warren has had some good moments, couldn't get out of the second inning in his last outing. So they're going to need some length out of these starters. That bullpen has been used a lot, and they don't have a lot of, as we've discussed on this podcast before, they don't have a lot of option flexibility with guys in their pen to send guys down and call up some fresh arms. So, we saw it a little bit here in this game, where they probably would have gone to Weaver or maybe even Williams, despite his struggles in that spot, hypothetically, in the 9th inning. But instead, they leave Fernando Cruz in there and he gets the job done. They need some length out of these guys, and not some length where they're just having to leave them in there because they've gotten blown up and they're just giving up on the game. They need some length, and they need to keep them in the game, and we'll see if they're able to do just that. Need 5 and 6 innings. That's what they need. They need 5 or 6 innings out of all their starters this week. And let's hope that they can get it, and let's hope that they can win another series. And we'll see what happens with the Jazz Chisholm suspension. We'll see what happens with, the fallout from, Aaron Boone getting thrown out. Not that he's going to get suspended, but I'm very curious to hear some of the explanations from the league on the home run and on. Quite frankly, I can't wait to see the ump score from the game. Because to be fair, on both sides of the plate, from both sides of the plate and for both teams, the home plate umpire in that game was just calling some ridiculous strikes and calling guys out on some ridiculous pitches. I know Jason Dominguez and Aaron Judge in particular got rung up on just brutal calls. But it was happening to the Rays too at times. So it was equal opportunity bad umping, but that doesn't make it not really make it better or good. I guess I don't even know if that even makes it fair. It just is what it is. But enjoy this. Enjoy your Monday morning commute or lunchtime or whenever you are listening to this. And we will be right back at it tomorrow morning to break down the opening series against the Cleveland Guardians, a team they played in the ALCS last year, and a team that suffered a pretty devastating extra innings loss here on Sunday. They themselves took a 3-run lead into the 9th inning, and they ended up winning. They almost suffered a loss. I did not see they ended up coming back there in extra innings. They allowed 3 runs in the 9th inning against Pittsburgh in a game they were up 4-1. Emmanuel Clase, who obviously the Yankees got to a lot in the postseason last year, has really struggled to start the season so far. If you think Devin Williams might be broken, Emmanuel Clase is brokener, if that's even a word, right now. So he technically got the win on Sunday, but only because he gave up 3 in the 9th, and the Guardians went on to score 1 in extra innings and win that game. So we'll keep an eye on what that team looks like. We'll see if the struggles from Clase and others and continue, and it'll be a very interesting, maybe a highly emotional battle between 2 teams that fought really hard in the ALCS last year. And we will be right here on the Bombers Beat podcast to break it all down for you.